Okay, welcome Ravi. And today we are discussing about 5G, the advent of 5G in India, and what it means to Indian subscribers, the users of 4G and internet both. Uh, Let me start by asking, 4G gave us the ubiquitous smartphones for the users and all of us. And like that, what entails in 5G for the end user?
Basically, 5G's major applications will probably come more on the industrial side as compared to the consumer side. Because right now, the way the telecom industry is in a crisis, so it doesn't look like 5G will be introduced on a commercial scale within the next 2 to 3 years in India, and a more realistic time frame is about 5 years. But the first users of 5G will be in smart cities, smart factories, Industry 4.0, telemedicine, telehealth, uh, then also teleeducation. But we'll have to wait a few more years for robotic surgery and applications like that. Because
Yeah.
the major advantage of 5G over 4G is that it is about 50 times as fast as 4G, and its latency, that is the time taken to go from the equipment, your handset, to the base station. It is about 50 times as good as 4G in both latency as well as in speed and bandwidth.
So you mean to say that there won't be any new instrument like our smartphones? That
No,
is,
the 5G enabled smartphones are coming out. In fact, a lot of Chinese companies have introduced the 5G smartphones. But the problems in India are that they've still not allocated the frequencies. And therefore, the receiver circuits of these 5G handsets, they have tuned to Indian bands. If you remember, a lot of the 4G also you needed India specific handsets because India was using many 4G frequencies which were slightly different from the world's 4G frequencies used in other countries. So they
okay.
will have to put in specific receiver circuits for the 5G handsets sold in India. But right now, the frequency bands in India have not been allotted because some of the 5G bands are in the 24 and 26 gigahertz range. Others are in the 3.4 to 3.6 gigahertz range, and some are in the 700 megahertz range.
Okay, that itself is a separate subject altogether,
Yeah,
which you are a specialist. So,
yeah.
what stage is the rollout of 5G across the world, especially in US and Europe?
Well, in South Korea was the first to introduce 5G networks on a trial scale a few months ago. Same in China, and then there are some pilot 5G trials going on in USA, like Verizon has done some 5G projects. But again, they really are more like 4.5G rather than true 5G, because what a lot of the operators in USA are doing is that they are kind of adapting over their 4G networks, and these are not truly 5G networks. They're slightly different from the international standards in the US. The Europeans are more likely to put in full 5G. Again, they're all basically in the trial stage because a lot of the auctions are just being held, the frequencies are just being allocated. And really, the problem is coming in at the chip level, the circuit level, where a lot of the circuits for 5G chips are not yet ready or are in a very rudimentary stage. For instance, 5G requires 5 nanometer levels, node levels, whereas the existing technology is at 7 nanometers. The world's best manufacturing is at 7 nanometers, and that too is in Taiwan. And but the designs are being done for 5 nanometers. but really speaking, 5G requires 3 nanometers node levels, but those are really realistically expected to come only around 2027 or 2028, the 3 nanometer chips.
You
So
are telling me that 5G rollout has not happened in its full sense anywhere in the world.
yes, absolutely. They're more like 4.5G. They're what are called, they're not fully standalone networks. There's a difference in 5G. They're what are called fully standalone networks and non-standalone networks. Now, the fully standalone networks are pure 5G, and there is no such network in the world as yet. Because what has happened is that the only organization which was supplying full end-to-end 5G was Huawei, and most because of the political reasons and the controversy over their trapdoors and backdoors and their espionage, they have been blacklisted by many countries. Now, there are only 5 vendors who possess the full RAN and the base station network technology for 5G, which is Huawei and ZTE of China, Nokia of Finland, Ericsson of Sweden, and Samsung of South Korea. And then some US organizations like Cisco make some of the routers. Cisco and Juniper make some of the routers, but nobody has an end-to-end 5G solution.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So,
what are the trials happening in India? Which are the companies involved? Now that Huawei and ZTE are out officially, what are the other companies? What will that the exit of Huawei and ZTE, which has about 55% presence in Indian network, what does it entails for Indian telcos?
well, the Indian telecom operators will have to rely on Nokia, Ericsson, and Samsung equipment. Now, it is only Jio that is using Samsung equipment, and all the others, which were Airtel, Bharti Airtel, Vodafone Idea, and BSNL, were mainly using Huawei equipment along with some amounts of Nokia and Ericsson equipment. So the problem is that the prices of Nokia and Ericsson equipment are about several times that of the Huawei equipment. They're about 4 to 5 times the price of the Huawei equipment if you look at the total life cycle costs. And they don't offer the full range of equipment across the board, end-to-end solutions. So now what a lot of the operators are planning to do is all over the world, especially the ones who are banned from using Huawei, they're doing what are called open RAN networks, open radio access networks, where they will, instead of getting all the equipment from one vendor, that is Huawei, they're going to take little bits and pieces of equipment from different vendors, let's say routers from one, antennae from another, base stations from another, software stacks from another, and integrate them all together. So they can do this only if they have an Open RAN standard, and an Open RAN for the Open Radio Access Network came about only about 1.5 years ago.
So it will take long time in India to go anywhere near even 4.5 G. You mean?
Yeah. Essentially, what it is like what Reliance has announced. Reliance Jio has announced is that they are going to be doing their entire 5G, and same as with Tech Mahindra. But what they're really doing is that they're developing a software stack which is based on the Open RAN network, where they'll be just having software overlays over components which are bought commercially. And again, all the components and the boards and all are all imported. So, but they're running a software overlay on this. So it really is an extension of 4G. It is not a standalone 5G network that they're doing. They're kind of extending their 4G network to develop something which is intermediate between 4G and full 5G. So what Reliance is doing is what is a standard called option 6. And a better option is option 3, but so far no Indian organization is thinking of option 3.
Okay, so along with 5G, one keeps hearing of Internet of Things.
Yeah.
What does it entail? What does it consist of? Is various equipments, various things going to speak to each other?
Yeah, that is the biggest advantage of 5G. And in fact, Internet of Things and machine to machine communications, they're being done in 4G also, but 5G will be the biggest user. In Internet of Things, there are various things like smart homes, smart appliances, smart cities, then your wearables for health, your Fitbits, your wearables for health, and telemedicine. So in Internet of Things, for instance, you can uh, have your refrigerator at home maintain itself, tell you when it is due for servicing. You can switch on your AC when you're not at home. Let us say you're coming home, you can a few minutes before you come home, you can tell the lights, turn your lights on from 2 or 3 miles away. You can turn on your AC. You can basically start your ovens, all that. So Internet of Things is basically your all your home appliances can be run remotely according to your convenience and in the most efficient manner to use the minimum amount of electricity, and also for predictive maintenance, that you know when your servicing is due. It will remind you that your fridge is due for servicing, or this part in your refrigerator is going to break down, or that part in your washing machine is going to break down, or it is time to take your air conditioner for servicing. So all these kinds of things are there in the Internet of Things. And then in smart cities, where let us say toll traffic, the smart IDs for the trucks to move through without having to stop at toll points, with the for all the customs internal excise duties, so that let us say trucks and cars can move non-stop.
Yeah, but
So
some of it is already on now. Like some of the AC companies have announced that you can, while coming back from office, you can switch on your AC.
yeah,
The tax have become a major.
yes,
Government of India has launched the tax system in the
yes.
highway. So
Yeah,
some.
so all these will get a big boost from 5G, because 5G is going to be 50 times faster than 4G.
Okay.
And they require always on high bandwidth, low latency, ultra reliable networks.
Okay.
The other one is basically is going to be on your medical devices which are attached to your body.
Hmm.
And because in these COVID times, you can't go to a hospital, because the hospital is where you're going to get it more likely to get infected with COVID. So you can have remote monitoring by putting, let us say, your Fitbit can collect a lot of data and keep transmitting it to your hospital, and they can monitor you and tell you what is wrong with you, and preventively diagnose you. Say your blood pressure is going up, or you're likely for a stroke, or you're likely for a heart attack, or
Okay.
anything like that.
So which means that the the kind of bandwidth revolution which is going to happen
Yes.
can make can make you a transmitting station kind of thing if you have
Oh,
your
yeah.
medical equipments on your body.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because like let us say your pacemakers can be monitored, diabetics can have their insulin pumps monitored, people who are on drips can have all that monitored, because nowadays people can't go to hospitals because of COVID.
Yeah.
So if they will have to do their own diagnosis at home and using these instruments. And then the major thing where an opportunity for India will come in is, let's say, smart factories. Like an operator sitting in India can operate a factory in USA or in Europe, or the high wage states in Europe. They can operate all the factories remotely sitting here.
Okay, so
And
that comes to another question that look, COVID has changed the way we operate,
yeah,
the way we do business, the way we work, with 4G itself. Because all
yeah,
of us are on not meeting, we are on Zoom or any other technologies, and people are working from home. A lot of offices are working in India said that they will start their offices only by end of the year, but
yes,
they are almost 24 hours on call kind of situation. So
yes.
this is what 4G is doing to us. What will be the culture when 5G comes in? the work.
So yeah, 5G will enable all this, and as I said, the major impact of 5G won't be in the services sector except e-banking and telemedicine, but it's going to be on the factory smart floors where people sitting in countries like India can operate factories in Europe. And this is already being done from China. People are operating factories in other countries. So 5G will certainly enable a revolution in industry 4.0 and smart factories, and also in smart cities, where you will be able to control the electricity grids, the telecom networks, aviation, all these water supply, sewage, all these can be controlled on a real-time basis, controlled, monitored, and maintained on a real-time basis using 5G.
So one of the things which, in India, a lot of things happen, like flood. Like, let's say, take the example of Delhi. Everybody knows in monsoon there is flooding in Delhi, but
Yes.
very little is being done. So can such issues be addressed through these technologies?
Yeah, certainly, because 5G will enable you to quickly process the data. Almost as the event happens, you're able to process the data very quickly and take decisions. So you can say that the floodgates have to be opened or the floodgates have to be closed, and those decisions can be done with artificial intelligence, and so they take away the human error from there.
Okay. So, and also like Internet of Things, machine learning is something which comes, along with 5G. How does how do you see that going in India?
Well, machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. I mean, in artificial intelligence, you have subsets like machine learning, deep learning, neural networks, convolutional neural networks, etc. So, machine learning is basically where machines learn how to perform certain tasks by observation. And in fact, most of the applications of machine learning are going to come in cybersecurity, because the problem with 5G is that there are a lot of security issues in 5G. 5G still will be safer than 4G, but still there will be a lot of security issues. So applications of machine learning will come in cyber security. They will come in fraud prevention, fraud management. Then when you do electronic banking, again, preventing unauthorized access to bank accounts. They will come, machine learning will come in how you run your telecom networks, your power networks, your irrigation networks, how you run the airports, ports, and transportation systems.
Okay, so it will be a total revolution of things.
Yes.
So, but what about privacy? 4G has shown us that privacy is a big casualty because anybody can track anybody. I think the security agencies are using it like hell. WhatsApp chats become, court documents or police documents. So what will happen in a 5G situation? It will be like you are screened thoroughly, is it not?
Well, yeah, well, that is happening irrespective of technology. I mean, if it's happening with 4G, it will happen with 5G. 5G is a little safer and a little more private than 4G, but not by much, because nowadays it is a political decision because of COVID to monitor a lot of people. But basically, with 5G, it is going to be the facial recognition technology, and the way you can identify people from the way they walk, from the way they talk. Then, of course, the facial recognition technology, and these can be processed much faster with 5G. Say at speeds which are about 20 to 40 times the speeds at which they're now being processed. So certainly you'll be able to monitor anyone and everyone in the world. It's already happening, and it's basically 5G is just going to be a little safer than 4G, because some of the security and privacy standards are being built in. But there is no such thing in the post-COVID era as privacy. We all have to say goodbye to privacy and accept that we are going to be monitored all the time, whether by the governments or by even the private sector, which want to get information about you for targeted advertising. and to sell you their products and services.
Okay. Okay. So you talked about safety. There is already concern about EMF in 4G situations. So what about 5G when all the machines around you are emitting something?
Yeah, basically, all electromagnetic fields are totally safe. The only effect of RF fields in the radio frequency fields is that there is a bit of heating of the water molecules in your body, and it is the effect is less than that of a light bulb. So they're not going to damage your DNA in any way. They're not going to cause you any long-term harm at all, whether it is 4G or 5G, or it can be even 1,000 times of higher frequency than 5G, and it is not going to harm you in any manner.
Yeah, anyway,
Long term.
WHO is monitoring. WHO is constantly monitoring the situation.
Yes. WHO is constantly monitoring the situation, coming out with new standards. But basically, all the RF frequencies, it is not as harmful as going out in the sun. It is just the effect is in fact less than if you stand in front of a light bulb. And we have been standing in front of light bulbs for the last 100 years. So the effect of 5G networks is you can be in a room full of 5G, and the effect is going to be the same as if less than if you're in a room full of lights.
Okay, one final question. Given the confusion in the telecom sector in India, and of course the Chinese ban, when do you think India will be ready or coming anywhere near 5G adoption?
Well, I think it is unlikely that the spectrum auctions will take place before next year, before 2021. And then the telecom operators don't have any money to buy. So I don't see Vodafone Idea or Bharti Airtel really taking a serious part in the 5G auctions. And really, there is a case for lowering the reserve price. But even if the 5G auctions take place, and I really see not before 2023 the first 5G pilot trials rolling out on a real serious 5G trials rolling out, and probably 2027 or 2028 is a realistic time frame for full 5G adoption in India. And then there are also a lot of problems with 5G in the sense of um, if you look at the 24 and 26 gigahertz range, it has a very low range, just about 100 meters or so. They're severely affected by rain. Even the slightest rainstorm or a lot of moisture in the air will cut down on the signals. And you need repeater stations every 50 meters or 100 meters. So the 700 megahertz range is good because that can penetrate through walls and has a much longer range of several kilometers, but that is very low power.
Okay, but what is the trials happening in India? Because we keep hearing about 5G trials. What is it happening?
See, the 5G trials essentially, it was in the trials, the Chinese companies Huawei and ZTE were taking part. So Airtel was trialing, Airtel and Vodafone were trialing with Huawei and Nokia and Ericsson and Samsung, and BSNL and MTNL were trialing with Huawei and ZTE, and Reliance Jio was trialing with Samsung equipment. But now that Huawei and ZTE can no longer take part, it is just going to be trials of from Nokia, Ericsson, and Samsung, and these will be trying to trial out their standalone networks. And truly, standalone networks have not been built even by these operators anywhere. So what I see Reliance Jio doing is they're in a good shape because they have an all IP 4G network, so they can put in software stacks and try to grow 4.5G network, and maybe use option 6 in the Open RAN, the Open Radio Access Network.
Okay.
So really, I see them only coming out, and even that might take 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of claims going around about these Indian homegrown 5G things, and I don't think that can be really credible.
Okay. So,
Yeah,
whichever way it is, there's already talk about increase in tariff in telecom sector, and I'm sure 5G means the tariff goes up and up, and especially with the absence of Huawei and ZTE, as you said, 5 times lower the price of equipments and
yeah.
input costs will heavily go up after the exit of the Chinese. And let's see how the whole situation goes in. I think we are back to square one where
Yeah.
when the telecom started, it was the rich man's toy. Then it came down to the
Yeah.
common man, and now there is this feeling that it will go up and become rich man's toy once again, and the poor will be left with 2G to 3G to 4G.
Yeah, that certainly is a very real possibility, and in fact, it's highly likely because as it is, the telecom operators are badly bleeding after the AGR case,
Yeah.
the adjusted gross revenue verdict of the Supreme Court, and they are asking to raise tariffs. The existing operators are asking to raise tariffs, and because of reduced competition, also the consumer is certainly being exploited, and the telecom operators are all wanting to raise the tariffs at the expense of the consumer. So the customer is the person who's going to be badly hit, and 5G. The initial claims were that it's going to be 1/10 the cost of 4G in terms of data per GB of data. That it's going to be 1/10. 5G will be 1/10 the cost of 4G per GB of data, or in terms of the speeds and bandwidth. But realistically, I think 5G is really not going to take off in the customer sector, except for wearables such as Fitbits and for telemedicine and telehealth. But otherwise, 5G is really going to be in smart cities, smart factories, smart homes, Internet of Things, machine to machine communications, and digital twins. Because let's say in digital twins, you build a digital model of a physical asset, like a physical piece of equipment, and you try to simulate how that a physical piece of equipment will work in the future. So I see industrial applications being the first places where 5G will be used,
So,
not by the consumer at large.
so for the common smartphone user, 5G will be not much thing to get excited. It will be more for the high-end users for their industrial and other applications.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I think the digital divide is going to deepen. I mean, it's the rich will use it more, and the poor will not be able to use it at all. And the rich will spend it for watching videos, because you can download a 3-hour movie in about half a minute or so on 5G. So it's just the rich are going to be using 5G for entertainment and everything, and it's a rich man's toy. I don't see the rural poor really you taking to the use of 5G, at least in the next 10 years.
Okay, any which way, the rural poor is still using 2G
Yes.
for voice calls, so they will continue to be, where they are, the digital divide. I think we must do a discussion on digital divide, how it's going forward.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's close it here.
Yeah,
And
okay, sure.
the insights about 5G was helpful for others, friends who are watching this.
Yeah.
And thank you, Ravi. And
Yeah,
good.
sure. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.